Hello. As far as I'm from Odessa, I'll start my presentation with a joke. It was about two Odessa Jews who met somewhere near Privoz. It is the famous Odessa market. One says to other, "What's up?" And the second says, they say that the war is going on, Russia fights with NATO, 800,000 Russians were killed, tanks destroyed, and so on and so forth. And what about NATO? NATO hasn't even come. In this joke, Russian narrative about Ukraine and Odessa is perfectly reflected. And of course, I get that it is like a joke and it is nothing serious, it is ironic, but what people can learn from this joke about Odessa inhabitants? The first one is totally crazy, because the joke was told in December 2022, and he doesn't understand that it is, and this war concerns his country and his city. And the second one just spread pro-Kremlin narratives about Russia fighting with NATO. I want to show how this Russian colonial narrative about Ukraine, where Ukraine or Odessa in particular does not exist without Russia, is represented in the regional perspective. And additionally, we will see whether any counter-narratives were formed by Ukraine. As far as sometimes in Ukraine, Odessa is also reflected as something strange, special, and not Ukrainian enough. Let's start with some historical context. I'm not a historian, but we will need two dates to understand how Russian colonial narrative about Odessa was formed. According to Russian, as well as local Odessa discourse, which is mainly spread by local authorities, Odessa is 231 years old. However, the first mention of the town and the port in the location of the modern city of Odessa was in 1415. So Odessa is more than 600 years old. How could it be? Mainly for a city, it is important to be an ancient one, especially when you have some evidence. However, for Odessa, it is not the case, as far it is in the middle of Novorossiya narrative. Novorossiya means New Russia, or Wild Fields narrative. According to this colonial narrative, an empire always comes to some new lands or wild lands and civilize these lands. And all the evidence about former people, cultures just vanish. I think here in Canada this narrative may be recognized as well. So in 2014, when Russia decided to take Ukraine by force for the first time during Ukrainian independence, Novorossiya narrative was actively spread. Russians were ready to take Odessa as well as other cities on the east and on the south by hybrid means. In 2014, in Odessa, we saw some strange men in jogging suits with sticks or even guns, representatives of the so-called anti-Maidan. In May 2014, they were given a task to overthrow the Ukrainian government institution and to take Odessa back. However, they did not succeed thanks to Odessa inhabitants who chose to stay with Ukraine. In 2022, there was another attempt. However, this time, Russians were going to attack with warships from the sea, and several military units were supposed to offense from their ground. As a rule, and someone mentioned that today, that Russian military aggression comes hand in hand with information war. That's why Novorossiya narrative about Odessa being a part of some new Russian lands, conquered with glory in 18th century, was spreading massively through different platforms. Along with politicians, Russians use their artists, bloggers, polittechnologists. They all repeat just one thing: Odessa is Russian, Odessa must be liberated, there won't be any peace in Odessa till it be returned to Russia. Thus today I will be speaking about this fake Novorossiya narrative, which is used to justify the war and its constant transformations between 2022 and 2024. To fulfill this aim, Russian and Ukrainian media was studied, RIA Novosti, Telegram channel, the most popular, as we heard yesterday, in Russia, and Ukrainska Pravda, which is one of the most popular media in Ukraine. I use computer-assisted analysis as well as narrative analysis as we know, according to the narrative theory, people believe in narratives but don't believe in facts. And when it comes to Russia and the narratives it exploited, so-called Russian world should be mentioned. I consider it to be a ground narrative of their soft power, and of course you know that it related with Ukrainian imperialism and colonialism, and its goal to prepare the inhabitants of the so-called Near Broad to reunite with Russia, to be conquered by it, and so on and so forth. Before the full-scale war, this narrative was about that Odessa will be surrendered without a fight, and Russians were hoping to get Odessa with Crimean scenario. You can see here messages which were spread on different platforms, even on the Zelensky, President of Ukraine, official website, and on different media and Telegram channels. So the city is not prepared for defense, there won't be the war at all, the brothers won't fight with each other, and so on and so forth. And I want to stress that this narrative differed from Kyiv will be conquered for 3 days narrative. In Kyiv, northern and central Ukraine, Russians expect some resistance, but not very strong. When it comes to Odessa, they did not expect people to fight at all. And here you can see how often RIA Novosti mentioned Odessa between 2022 and 2024. It is like a constant attempts to find the matching key for the city gates. For instance, in October, November 2022, it was fixated the highest number of mentions, about 35, 36 mentions, so almost every day. What about the most popular topics? So the most popular topic seems to be a neutral one, explosions, war operations, but it is not neutral because Russians reported about some strange explosions in Odessa, for instance, about electricity cuts and blackouts in Odessa, but they didn't mention the cause of it. So it was like, inhabitants of Odessa hear explosions. What is the reason of these explosions? Neutral, but it was extremely incomplete. And if we speak about the second popular narrative, it is about destructions of Ukrainian military targets. And I hope you know that when Russians mentioned the destructions of Ukrainian military targets, it is usually about some residential building hit by Russia, or hospitals, or churches, or something like that. Of course, Ukrainian Nazis, it is the third popular narrative, because Russians want to stress that of course, Odessa inhabitants, they want to be with Russia, they want to be liberated, but why didn't it happen? Because of Ukrainian Nazis. On the first place is Ukrainian diversions. Why they use definition diversion? Because like they can't say that Ukrainian military fight with Russia, and they trying to show that some saboteur groups are trying to mess up with Russians, and strong Russian army will conquer Odessa. All these topics seem to be very different. However, mixing false and truth information, suppressing truth, manipulating, Russians try to fulfill several aims. To cover Russian war crimes in Odessa, to blame fake Ukrainian Nazis or Ukrainian military for people suffering during the full-scale Russian invasion, and additionally to show that Nazis suppressed Russian-speaking people, and of course to create an impression that Ukraine has already lost the fight, Russians will come anyway, and of course they are trying to show that true Odessa inhabitants are impatiently waiting. Let's see how are they doing that. So it is like my first figure where you can see 3 narratives, and you can see how dynamics of these narratives. So at first, how Russians tried to cover war crimes in Odessa. At first, they were trying to report on destructions of Ukrainian military targets. And for instance, when on April 23, 2022, Russia hit a residential building in Odessa, they were like underlining that it was Western weapon, it was not a residential building. For instance, later, They understand that this narrative maybe didn't work because it was possible to see that people were sharing pictures about the destruction, so they were looking for another tactics, and in 2023 they just decided to report that it wasn't a Russian missile, but it was a Ukrainian missile which hit Odessa. And an interesting phenomenon was observed in 2024. In March, foreign leaders visited Odessa, so Russians were trying to frighten them and shell the city during the visit, and they reported these visits along with strange explosions in the city. Then they report about destruction of Ukrainian military targets and the Western weapon. And when Greece Prime Minister visited Odessa, they quoted Dmitry Medvedev, who said, "If we had wanted to kill the Prime Minister, we would have done it." And here you can see the examples of RIA Novosti text and news item from 2022. Residential building was hit, stressed that it was a military target, and a news item from 2023, the cathedral was hit. Russians said Ukrainians did it, it was Ukrainian missile. And a piece from 2024, when Russians were trying to show Western leaders that they are the real masters in Odessa and they can do whatever they want and can kill whoever they want, even Greece Prime Minister. As for the diversions narrative, we can see a clear difference between 2022 and 2024, when this topic was popular. At first, Russians were trying to interpret attempts of Ukrainians to defend themselves as some kind of diversions of a small number of Nazi saboteurs. However, afterward, it wasn't so popular because if we speak about some diversions, not organized military resistance with numerous people who consciously fighting with Russia, it is hard to explain why the saboteurs are resisting for so long. So they changed their story. Now they are constantly reporting about some Russian underground helping Russians to fight the Nazis. And here you can see some examples. At first, several Ukrainian diversions seemed funny, like Ukraine confiscate Moldova wine for the armed forces. And then some diversions were used to cover actions of Russian army, like Ukraine mined the Black Sea, and so on. And the diversions were also used to justify attacks on the civil infrastructure. On the other side, Russian diversions in Odessa were created by Russian propaganda to show that there are people in Odessa who wait for Russia and are ready to fight for it. In these messages, true and false information is mixed. For instance, the leader of the underground said about 30-meter fire in Odessa port. Of course, it wasn't true, as far as no one in Odessa saw it. Here is attention to the topics Odessa is Russia, Nazis in Odessa. This attention was constant, and of course you heard about biolabs. This narrative was covered only at the beginning of the full-scale invasion. Odessa is Russia narrative was spread with quote of Russian appointed officials, Russian politicians, Putin in particular. As for the narrative of Ukrainian Nazis, threats to Ukrainian language, culture, some evolution was observed. At first, they reported about strange and dangerous Nazis who do not let Odessa inhabitants to host Russia in their city. In 2023, Great Russian Culture Destruction topic was used. And in 2024, they celebrated the 2nd of May 10-year university. How to deal with that, and was it possible? If we speak about Ukrainskaya Pravda, it is used some counter-narratives, but they weren't among the most popular topics. And there was a small number of anti-fakes on the newsfeed. The counter-narrative about Odessa fighting back, resisting, was popular only in March 2022, and after that Odessa was showed more passively, suffering because of Russian attacks. The active angle was used, but not so often. Western help to Odessa was covered mostly after the large Russian attacks, and the blackouts weren't continuously followed in 2024. It was also not very good because Russians spread narrative about Odessa being abandoned by Kiev, and sometimes they even wrote that other Ukrainian regions stole Odessa electricity. Here you can see examples of active angle used in March 2022 and the passive one used afterward. One more problem is the reliance of Ukrainian media on the topic of crimes in Odessa. In 2023 and 2024, this topic dominated. And if we analyze the most frequent words in the topics, we will see corruption and mobilization subtopics, among almost the same approach which we observed previously. And on the level of local news, there is a constant attention to the topic of economics and leisure. Thus, what is a picture of the local life in Odessa like? Odessa inhabitants make money and steal money, swim in the sea, enjoy sport, do not want to serve in the army and defend their country. If we analyze the news about culture, we will see that mostly the topic of Russian culture is covered, whereas the topic of Ukrainian culture is less popular. And one more aspect. Along with that, we observed constant mentions of Russian diversions in the city, when cases of treason conducted by local inhabitants are covered. For the conclusion, in the beginning of the full-scale invasion, Russia propaganda in Ukraine and Odessa as well was mostly perceived as a kind of joke. Plenty of memes about Dulles propagandists was spread on the internet. However, Russian propagandists were persistent. Of course, they weren't able to cover their war crimes conducted in Odessa and other cities entirely, but in some cases they succeeded in erosion of reality and truth undermining. For instance, sometimes in Odessa it is possible to hear that Ukrainian military should be blamed for the shelling too. It was also interesting to observe how Russia reported about its war against Ukraine without mentioning the war and Ukraine. It was precisely what Lavrov said several days ago. Russia does not shell Ukraine. So yes, there are some explosions in Ukrainian cities, but Russia has nothing to do with that. Thus, Ukrainians should be blamed for the war. That's why the propagandists constantly promote the narratives of the city suffering because of Ukrainian Nazis and foreign mercenaries. This topic was sometimes used in Western press when Western journalists, some of them actually of Russian origin, covered the topic of derussification of Odessa. Russian narratives were extremely flexible. The narratives were constantly adapted according to the events on the front lines. Analyzing the Ukrainian media, we can see some weak points. Yes, Ukrainian media was able to create some counter-narratives, but the narratives were mostly used at the beginning of the full-scale war. At first, media was closely monitoring resistance in Odessa. Lately, traditional regional topics were popular: crime, leisure, etc. Some local news even played along with Russian propaganda, corruption, forced mobilization, and so on. The counter-narratives about Odessa being part of modern Ukraine were rare. Changes in Ukrainian strategic communication to fight Russian propaganda is needed. The Russian narratives about Ukrainian regions should be taken into account to increase effectiveness of counter-narratives creation and dissemination. And some photos from Odessa for you. Thank you.